So, wondering if you should buy a house right now? Should you wait? What about the interest rate? What does all this stuff mean? How do I figure it out? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that in 2 seconds. Hey guys, Walter Lauhe here with the Lauhe Group at Keller Williams Freedom, and I've got my not my sidekick. He'll kick my butt, man.
Your tonto?
This is Chris Hodges with Pivot Lending. He is my number one, man. He's awesome. We're gonna go over some stuff that's super crucial right now, especially with interest rates the way that they are. I'm not gonna say nothing though, because that's his Kool-Aid. Fingers out of the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, no, so everybody has heard, you're living under a rock if you haven't, that interest rates are at absolute historic lows, right? Yeah. Now, I think all of us in the industry, whether it's real estate or lending, we've been hearing the terms historic lows for quite some time now. Yeah. But let's talk about that, right? So if you were to go back 2 years ago, 3.75, 3.5 was historic low, bottom, right? Like no one had seen that rate before. And we've just kind of slowly continued to go lower and lower. And so as you're hearing that throughout the industry, it's not that anybody's lying to you, it's that we really didn't think that we would go lower, and we continue to go lower.
Hey, right? Back in '96, I think when I bought my first house, I got a screaming deal of 9%.
Yeah, no, and I've heard of that as well. People back in the 90s, my parents back in the 80s, were buying homes at 12%, 13%. I've even heard people at 17% interest. So when we talk about interest rates being at 3.75 or 3.5, that was historic lows. Now we're talking about interest rates at 2.3, 2.25. That is just ridiculous, blows my mind. And
it's almost free.
I don't want those of you that are out there that are skeptical to lose sight and to miss out on an opportunity, because there will come a time where this will shift, right? We will see a correction. Regardless of what your political stance are, there is a little bit of the government really keeping rates where they're at right now, trying to control the economy. That being said, whether it's a month, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, you will eventually see those rates start to shift. And what I want to make sure of is that people understand what that difference in interest rate really means when it comes down to the dollar amount on their monthly mortgage payment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Should we show them what we're talking about?
Yeah. All right, guys, awesome. We're gonna pivot over here to the whiteboard. Be back in a minute.
What's up. All right, guys, so here we are at the whiteboard. There's a couple things I wanted to point out first. Most of our clients are military. That's who most of our people that we work with are. So what I did is I wanted to break down the 2021 BAH. So on this side, you've got no dependents. On this side, you have with dependents. As you can see, we're finally starting to catch up a little bit to what the cost of living is here in Colorado Springs. So what we did is we put together an example over here. Now, a couple disclosures real quick. Example is not based off of anything in particular. These are just an idea of what interest rates give you. Now, 2.375 is about our average right now. And when I say average, I'm talking for somebody that has above a 660 credit score, who has a debt to income in the 45% range. But again, we're not talking about anything particular or specific. We're just saying in general, these are the rates, and this is what the monthly payment might look like at a specific dollar amount. So as we pivot from the BAH rates, we go over here. So our example that we went with today was a $375,000 purchase price. Now, for a lot of you, you might be thinking, there's no way in hell I want to spend that. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at average-wise here in El Paso County or Colorado Springs. So if you're coming to Fort Carson, Peterson Air Force Base, Schriever Air Force Base, the Air Force Academy, Cheyenne Mountain, you can expect that finding a home at $375,000, that's really going to be kind of a very competitive market. Anything lower than that, the competition gets very, very heavy, right? So you can see here, we've broken this out. At 2.375, your principal and interest payment, so just paying back the mortgage, would be $1,457 at 2.375. There's escrows, and we don't want to get too much into this. You can call us and I'll explain all this to you, but VA does require that we escrow your insurance and your property tax. So we're putting a very conservative estimate here of $145 for insurance, $200 for property tax. Your total monthly payment on a $375,000 home at a 2.375 interest rate would be roughly $1,800 a month. Now, if you go back over here, if you're an E1 through E4 with dependents, you're making $1,827. It really falls in line. You can see how much house you could afford. at that $1,800 mark, right? But let's take that and move to 3.25. It wasn't very long ago. In fact, last year this time, we were talking about rates in the 3.25 range. So if you take that same scenario of 375 and you drop to a 3.25% interest, you can see how your principal and interest payment goes up almost $200, $1,632. So big increase there. Insurance, we keep the same at $145. Taxes, we keep the same at $200. But now your total monthly payment is $1,977 versus $1,800. If you're in E1 through E4, you're now paying $150 more than you receive in BAH just because the interest rate went up to 3.25. If you take a step back further and you look at going to 3.75, which again about 2 years ago is where we were at, you can see how dramatically different it is with the same scenario, $2,081 a month versus that $1,802. So moral of the story, guys, is interest rate plays a huge factor in your purchase power ability. And what we want to make sure of is that you as an individual and for your family are able to take advantage of these lower interest rates. It's not a catchphrase. It's not a tagline. Nobody's trying to pressure you into anything. We just want you to know the truth about how it really can affect how much home you can purchase and feel as though you can afford safely.
Well, hey guys, although I love doing these videos and bringing you this content and stuff like that, more importantly, I love helping you guys with all of your real estate needs. So with that said, I hope this video helps. Chris, is there anything last minute that you'd like to say before we say toodles?
Well, guys, again, I just want you to be cognizant of what these rates really mean as far as purchase power, right? That's the important message today. As we see things change with our political climate and the presidency, vaccines for COVID, you're going to see some changes economically, my belief, this year in 2021. Now, whether that's in the first quarter or the third or the fourth, who knows? Yeah. But be cognizant to the purchase power you have now. If you've been on the fence waiting because you wanted to see what was going to happen, I urge you to consider taking a look now and seeing where you're at.
Like I said before, guys, if you have any questions real estate wise, our numbers here, this is a number that I actually answer. Give us a call, shoot us a text, however you like to communicate. That's how we want to communicate with you. And I'll be the one that's actually answering the phone. So until next time, toodles.
Toodles.